Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Tuesday. Is that right? Wednesday. Tell you that happens all the time. And if I don't have a sponsor right there, then I have to kind of guess. And sometimes you're going to get that wrong. Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. That after work week in the rearview mirror. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. I said Tuesday there. Cassie didn't even crack a smile or say anything. She just shook her head. Nope, that is wrong. But we got it right. It's Wednesday now. We're fired up to cheer with us for the next couple of hours. Kade Riley is going to join us in 15 minutes. I think he covers the LSU baseball team for The Advocate. Jay Johnson is meeting with the media right now. He might be done in 15 minutes, and we might talk to Kade. It might go 25 minutes, and we might not, but he's got a job to do, so he'll be there talking to Jay Johnson. We hope to talk to Kade here in the next 15 to 20 minutes or so. It's What If Wednesday. We'll take your what ifs. Got some really good ones on Twitter earlier today, so we'll get to some of those. If you're in the Bayou Ford chat here, we'll hear from you as well. A new recruiting prediction from Shea Dixon, an in-state prospect for LSU football. We'll tell you who that is at the end of this hour. Matthew Bruny from On 3. We'll talk some basketball with him. At 2:15, 1 hour, 15 minutes from right now, I'm going to give you my projection for LSU's opening day, Friday afternoon, Alec Box Stadium, 2025 season opening lineup. We'll see how I do on that. We'll grade it in 2 days coming up on Friday. And the Saints have a decision to make on Taysom Hill. We'll talk about that later on today as well. So lots and lots to do. Again, thanks for locking us in. Let's start the same way we start every single day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
I think we've got a large enough Jay Johnson sample size now in terms of how he handles his program to understand most of what he does. One of the things he does is keep pitching decisions very secretive. He is not into revealing his starting pitcher until he absolutely has to. And I think that will continue into the postseason this year, if and when LSU gets there. It did not happen today. He just laid all the cards out on the table today. And I'm appreciative of that because that gives us more to talk about here, and we'll do it. As earlier, if you missed this or you're just driving around, haven't seen it on social media, I've got a story up at louisianasports.net. LSU announces pitching plans for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Understand there could be some weather issues on Saturday. They're dancing around. Jay Johnson was on with the morning guys today, so there's a possibility that they could potentially play 2 games on Friday. But this is the plan as of right now, that LSU will start Cade Anderson on Friday. LSU will start Anthony Ianson, the transfer from UC San Diego, on Saturday. And they will start Chase Shores, the towering right-hander, on Sunday. I don't get them all right. I got this one right. This is kind of how I thought this was going to shake out. Dating back to December when I had some conversations with folks inside the program, and then you saw kind of how they handled things. I did notice that Chase Shores did pitch on Saturday this past weekend, so I thought maybe he could be a Saturday option this coming weekend. No. And a lot of what I said back earlier this week still holds true in my head. And if you listen to Musso and my preview on YouTube, a lot of y'all have gotten over to that and have left some comments on Twitter, and we certainly appreciate y'all for checking that out. I just like the matchup of Chase Shores against teams on a Sunday. I think Chase Shores gives LSU a significant stuff advantage on most, if not all, Sundays, game threes, however you want to phrase it. But I'll say this, and so let's just start with the start, and I'll work through these 3 guys and kind of how I see this shaking out from the front. Cade Anderson's good last year was all you need to see to know he's got the stuff to do this. He's left-handed. He's 6'2". He throws 94 to 96 miles an hour, and he's got a really, really good breaking ball when he commands it. Now, he had some bumps in the road last year. There's no doubt about that. In conference play, he got knocked around in multiple outings, which happens to young pitchers. Not all Alex Lang and show up and go 13-0. But early in the season in starts against the non-conference teams, he was great. And then his last 4 outings, which included the SEC tournament and the regional, Anderson was completely lights out. He had, in those 4 appearances, 4 scoreless innings with 9 strikeouts. That's dealing against SEC tournament teams and NCAA tournament teams. So he's got the goods. He just hasn't proven it. And you still got to have some concern about running into a wall because it'll be the most innings he throws if he's your Friday night guy for the rest of the season. You still got to worry about him week in and week out being consistent because he hasn't shown that. But he's shown you one of the most important aspects of this is that, hey, this guy has great stuff, and hey, this guy has pitched in big spots and done it well. I'm excited about Kade Anderson as a potential Friday night guy, but we've seen guys falter in that spot. I mean, Caleb Gilbert had some really good postseason outings and looked really good in relief for a couple of years, and then you threw him out there on a Friday night, and that didn't work. So there's no guarantee, but this is the guy they're going to start with, and I'm okay with that. Ianson feels like a pretty good bet to be a pretty good bet. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's unlikely to me that he just gets lit up and falls completely out of the rotation. I don't think he works his way to the 15th pick in the draft, but he's got good stuff. He's proven he can handle the workload, and the workload out west is in some ways similar to the workload down south. Yeah, the weather's a little warmer, and yeah, some of the pitches are more high stress, and I get all of that. But if you've thrown 80-plus innings in a season, I feel okay that you can come back the next year and throw 90-plus innings. Like, so he's proven he can do that. No, he hasn't proven it at this level, but the talent's good enough to where he was dominant at times in the Big West. He threw to a 190 opposing batting average and struck out over 80 guys last year, and Team USA took a look at him, and LSU was interested in him, and he'll be a draftable guy. And I feel like his floor is pretty high. I don't know what the ceiling is. We'll see. The floor is pretty high on Ianson. So I've had him pegged as a guy that I thought would be in this rotation for a few weeks now. You heard me in my prediction piece. If you read it at LouisianaSports.net or heard me talking about it, I think that Ianson is going to potentially lead LSU in strikeouts this year, and that's not because he has the best stuff on the team. I just think he's a really good bet to be in the rotation start to finish. And that's why I said that. Now, Chase Shores is the most interesting discussion here. Now, keep in mind, I'm the one who sat here 2 years ago and told you that Paul Skeens had good, not great numbers at Air Force, got knocked around against Texas in the regional. I saw him give up a home run in fall ball. Like, I'm hopeful. He's got talent, but, I need to see it. Like, I told you that. And that's the stupidest thing anyone's ever said because he's the best pitcher in the world, okay? That was stupid. And I told you last year that I liked Luke Holman as a number 2. I didn't necessarily feel like he was a number 1. And he pitched like a number 1 just about all of last year. Eventually, Jump took that role, and Holman did pitch as number 2. But if you watch Luke Holman pitch and you watch the strikeout numbers he rolled up, like, he was good, and I undersold him a little bit. He didn't become first-team All-American in the 10th pick in the draft, but I undersold him a little bit. And I'm prone to that with guys who haven't necessarily already demonstrated it. And that's a safe way to go about things. It may be a cowardly way to go about things, but I'm just putting myself out there so you understand where this is coming from. I think we need to be patient with Chase Shores. That's my opinion. I know he's 6'8", 6'9". I know he throws 100 miles an hour. I know as a freshman, he was out there in big, big spots for LSU. He was out there against Tennessee, striking out Christian Moore in front of 11,000 at the box. I mean, all that juice, and that gives you the feeling like this dude is the future. And then he goes down, and you still have those memories, and you still know those measurables, and you all of a sudden, I think, because we're all being so optimistic this time of year, look at him and go, that guy's going to be a superstar. And I'm just telling you that right now I have not seen him be a superstar in fall scrimmages and in preseason scrimmages. I have seen his velocity be great, and I have seen him continue to take the ball on schedule, which shows he's healthy. That's the most important thing. We know that he feels good, he's making starts on schedule, and his velocity is good. He's not refined like LSU aces have been in their great history. Like, he's just not right now. That is not to say that on May the 11th, when you're in your 7th SEC series or whatever that is, that he's not found it. And now he's throwing 100, and now he's not walking guys, and now the slider's got command, and now he's comfortable in the spot, and now he's really difficult to deal with. But right now, as we sit here in middle of February, I don't think he's there just yet. So don't be fall on your face stunned if Chase Shores has a couple of bumps here in his first few starts. That's something we've seen against good hitters at LSU. Now, LSU's got LSU guys. Purdue-Fort Wayne's got Purdue-Fort Wayne guys. We get that. But my read right now on Shores is just give him some time. I want him to stay in that rotation. I like the fact that there's less stress on the Sunday guy. Kind of the lights are a little brighter on Friday. You understand that. And I think that Sunday, once you've got your feet on the ground and you've seen this team for 2 days, I like where he sits there. I think that there could be some bumps early for Shores. One of the great keys to how this team progresses throughout the course of its 4-month grind is how good does Shores become. I'm not telling you he's got to be the ace. If Anderson's the ace, he didn't have to be the ace. If Ianson is a high floor, rock solid number 2, Jared Poche style, well, he didn't have to be that either. But I think there's a chance that he could be really, really good. He's just not right this second, or hasn't shown that. But it's reasonable to suggest that coming off the injury and building back up and getting the competitive juices flowing for the first time in 18 months, 22 months, maybe something clicks there. Again, I think I probably oversold this, and you may be listening to that and goes, man, he thinks the Shores guy stinks. That's not the message I'm trying to convey. I just think that if you think that he's automatically Skeens or Gaussman or Renato or Lang because he's the next big, we're not there yet. We're hopeful to build to that. And if he gets to close to that, well, LSU's going to be a force. And that's the hope. That's the hope. I love this spot for him. I think it's a perfect slot to put a guy with that kind of stuff. And I'm hopeful that he goes out there on Sunday where it appears the weather's going to be really nice and starts a phenomenal final season for him at LSU before he's a good draft pick. So if you missed this and you're just jumping in the car, checking this out, Jay Johnson has announced his starting pitching for the weekend. Kade Anderson on Friday, Anthony Ianson on Saturday, Chase Shores on Sunday. That's our Genesis opening drive. I have a text from Koki, and I don't know what it says, so let's look at it. Okay, it says, yeah, he thinks we're going to go over 115. So I've got him on the horn whenever he is available to talk to us. I do have something we can fill with next. LSU's got a basketball game tonight, and I've got some thoughts on it because this is the one team in the conference that actually played the revenge card on LSU. Tigers beat Arkansas back in January. Can they do it again? We'll talk about it.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. When I say Genesis of Baton Rouge, you should think luxury vehicle because it absolutely is. But the way they do business at Genesis is that it's a luxury experience at a reasonable price. So put them on. Why wouldn't you put them on your list? We're talking about a reasonable price, and I'm telling you what kind of experience it is. It should be on your list. The odds are if you're car shopping in Baton Rouge, well, you're probably going to be on Airline Highway. Just turn off right there at PQ, right across from Women's Hospital, and check out Genesis of Baton Rouge. Their brand ambassadors are phenomenal to work with. You'll feel like a guest there, not a customer. I've told you all the time, the dealership itself feels like a 4-star hotel. It's got a great ambiance, it's clean, it's got a great environment, and it's got a wonderful welcoming staff. And that's just part of the experience. Every new vehicle purchase comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Start your process today at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Again, they're at Airline and PQ. Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Did not know we were going to get Sam Dutton discussion in the Bayou Ford chat today, but we have that as Sam Dutton's been announced the Saturday starter for Butch Thompson's Auburn rotation coming up on this weekend. It'll be Cade Fisher going Friday for Auburn, who you may remember he was in Florida's bullpen when LSU played them for the national championship 2 years ago as a freshman, was kind of thought to be the next guy at Florida, and then didn't really have a good sophomore year at all, lost his job in the rotation, transferred to Auburn, and they'll try to make a reclamation project there and put him there at the top of the rotation. But I feel like Kevin O'Sullivan's got a pretty good track record of developing pitchers in Gainesville, and if you don't figure it out in Gainesville, I'm not certain I feel great about your chances to figure out at Auburn, although Butch Thompson is a very good pitching coach, so we'll see. I may talk a little bit more SEC baseball over the next couple of days. We are really excited to have Joe Healy back. He's from D1 Baseball's SEC Extra Team. He's going to join us every single Thursday. I believe 1:15 is the time we decided on. It's on the old whiteboard up in the office. I'll get it figured out for tomorrow, but I did confirm with him yesterday that he's back in action weekly for us. So very much looking forward to our Wednesday discussions with Kade Riley and our Thursday discussions with Joe Healy. If you're looking for LSU baseball coverage, SEC baseball coverage, D1 Baseball's SEC Extra Team does a fantastic job, and all their podcasts are completely free. I've been listening to SEC baseball podcasts during my morning runs to kind of get my mind going towards those teams. I realize February is not generally when y'all do that. That's more of a March, April thing for most fans. But if you're a sicko like me, get after it. They're wherever you find your podcast. LSU Hoops will take the hardwood tonight up at Bud Walton Arena in Fayetteville to take on an Arkansas team that's kind of found a little something. They were really reeling when they left Baton Rouge in mid-January. They stand at 14-9 right now and 3-7 in league play. Do you want to know how respected the SEC is? Arkansas is 3-7 in the league with a loss to LSU, and they are in Jerry Palm's field on CBS. They are in the Field of 68's field as an 11 seed, and Joe Lunardi has them as the first team out. That's how good the SEC is. 3-7 gets you either in or right there on the bubble. This is an Arkansas team that's won 3 of its last 5. The last time out, they lost to Alabama 85-81. They've lost to Oklahoma as well, but they beat Georgia. They went to Rupp and won in Cal's homecoming. Then they went to Texas and got a win as well. So a couple road wins for Arkansas in league play have kind of bolstered them. But they've been bad at home. They're 1-4 in Bud Walton Arena. In league play, that dog simply will not hunt. So if you think back to the last time that LSU and Arkansas played each other, Arkansas was leading, kind of took control of the game early in the second half, and then LSU went on a 20-3 run to really take control at that point. Cam Carter was great in that game. He scored 27 points on only 15 field goal attempts. He went 10 of 10 from the line. He made 3 of his 6 3-pointers. He was the stalwart on offense. And then LSU blocked 11 shots at the rim against Arkansas. They held Arkansas on layups to 11 for 28 shooting. So LSU's length caused Arkansas some significant problems. LSU also won the free throw line 26-11 in that game. LSU was 26 of 28 from the foul line in that game. Keep in mind, in the loss to Ole Miss over the weekend, LSU was only 13 of 24 from the foul line. So when you shoot it really good, you got a chance. When you shoot it poorly, got beat. So LSU, if you remember after that game, I came on here and I said, look, it's great that they won. Like, that's awesome that they won the game. But I can also look at this objectively and go, okay, you won the game by a bucket, maybe basically 4 points on your home floor. It took your best player going for 27 points. You won the free throw line 26-11, and you blocked as many shots as you have all year in a league game. All that had to go right at home for you to beat a winless team by 4 points. Like, that was concerning at that point. Back, if you can call Koki, he's ready to rock. But that was concerning at that point. Now, Arkansas is a different team right now, and they're a different team in personnel because Boogie Fland, their freshman star, who had a great game against LSU in the PMAC, is out for the year. And so that's shifted some things that they do, and he doesn't control the ball as much. And the guy who is kind of it's weird because Boogie Fland is a 6'3" point guard, and let me try this quickly. Zvonimir Ivisic, Big Z, as he's affectionately known. You wouldn't think a 7'2" guy would get a lot more production because the 6'2" point guard came out of the lineup, but he has. He's played 20 minutes in every game since Boogie Fland went down. That includes that right before that he played 7 minutes against LSU. So he has played a ton more. He scored 27 points against Alabama. He went 5 of 9 from 3. He was fantastic in that game and has kind of become a focal point of their offense. So LSU's going to have to deal with Big Z, Zvonimir Ivisic. And LSU, to me, is going to have to get to the free throw line in this game like they did against Arkansas at home. They're going to have to drive. They're going to have to deal with some shots getting blocked. They're going to get some shots blocked. Arkansas is number 6 in the country in shot block percentage. But that's LSU's best chance. Chucking them up from 3 like they have at times this year, I just don't think that's the best plan. I understand why they're doing some of it, even though they're the worst three-point shooting team in the conference, but it's their best chance to spread out a defense. But I think they got to drive. So we'll talk a little bit more about the basketball game with Matthew Bruny coming up in half an hour. But we'll transition back over to baseball. Kade Riley with The Advocate going to be with us weekly on Wednesdays. Just finished up meeting with a couple of LSU players as well as Jay Johnson. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Kade, how are you?
Doing pretty well. How's it going?
Going quite well. Are you surprised, not at the 3 guys who have been named to the starting rotation, but that you received that information 48 hours before LSU started the game?
Yeah, I'm glad we did. First of all, I don't want to take that for granted at all. I think I think Coach promised us that last week,
okay.
And I really hoped he would go through with that, and he did. He really kind of, he talked about, his decision-making process through that, and that kind of led into like a really interesting conversation about his feel for this year's team compared to last year's team, which I thought was really, really interesting. We could talk about that later, but that was good. That was really good.
What was the thought process behind those 3 guys? You said he kind of gave you it's expected. I saw your anticipation and mine was the same, that these would be the 3 guys, but why did he do it?
Yeah, he kind of reiterated a lot of what we've been saying in terms of, I think he even mentioned like, well, if you've seen these guys pitch, it would make sense that it's these guys, and He likes where Shores is at in terms of, obviously his velocity getting back up to upper 90s, even around 100 miles an hour this past weekend. He thinks he's seen enough strikes from him, which is interesting because he has had some control issues this preseason. With Anderson, it's just, Anderson, I don't say looks like a different pitcher this year, but he's been their best pitcher, at least during the preseason. Velocity's taken a tick up. The breaking balls are really good. The added slider has been a really, really strong weapon for him, and he talked about that a lot today, and how important that's been in his development from last season. And then with Ianson, it's 3 to 4 pitches for strikes. It's just that consistency day in and day out, and he really likes what he's seen from him too. So it's these three guys. I think Jay feels very comfortable with having these three guys as his starters, and again, I feel like he has a pretty good feel for this year's team.
Let's talk about the guys that he has mentioned publicly that they have stretched out, the Gavin Guidry's, the William Schmitz, Connor Ware. There are guys that they have stretched out that are not getting starting spots here. Do we feel like there's a chance that one of those guys could throw 3 innings at this point? Not the first 3, but still getting some length.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Guidry especially, I mean, they've been very public and open in talking about how, stretching him out and using him as a potential longer guy has been a goal this offseason. There's that, and then there's Connor Ware, who, Jay Johnson said he was the best pitcher that they had during the fall, and I don't think he's looked much worse during the preseason either. So I think they like him in that, longer sort of Griffin Herring role that Griffin was in last season. And if you look at the bullpen, they need more left-handed help in that bullpen. So it makes more sense to have him come out of the bullpen than it is Ianson. We already have a bunch of righties. So I think just with like him being a lefty and his repertoire, I think it makes sense to have Ware coming out of the pen. And I don't think it hurts to sort of manage his workload a little bit more from that bullpen as well when, this is a guy who's dealt with injuries the last 2 seasons. So I think all the pieces do make sense once you've watched these guys throughout the fall and through the preseason. And yes, they have a lot of options, but who goes into what spot in the rotation? I think a lot of it just is stuff. I don't say it was predictable, but it's very logical, I'd say.
We know that the first 5 weekends of SEC play went very, very poorly last year. And do you think, why Jay is consistently saying he feels like he's got a really good hold of this team? Because the inference would be from me, like, well, he must not have had a great hold of the team last year, and it took too long for it to come together.
Yeah, today he talked a lot about like how he felt like, looking back at it, he was forcing some things in terms of, we want this guy to do this, especially, and my guess is a lot of it would be with offense, with the offense, and a lot of the younger guys that they had, they pushed up into those starting roles, and it was, all right, we need you to do this, we need you to do that, and things just weren't really clicking. And I think they just feel like they don't have to force things, or they feel like they shouldn't try to force things as much this season, and sort of let things kind of come naturally from a developmental standpoint, if that makes sense.
I think it does. And I think some of that may, look at catcher. You got Luis Hernandez, who's had a bajillion college at-bats, and you look at Kade Riley, who has had 0, and you feel like that's a situation where they're going to have to massage that. Did he talk about catcher at all, or any of the lineup decisions that are to come over the next 4 days?
Yeah, we didn't get into catcher a whole ton today. Maybe that's our fault. Maybe that's my fault. But we did talk a lot about the shortstop at third base situation, where Jay announced on Mike Scarborough's show that this was the even bigger surprise, that Jay just announced on Scarborough's show that Milam was going to start at short and Braswell was going to start at third. And he even admitted that they would have probably gotten to this conclusion faster if Milam had been healthy for the whole fall. He dealt with an illness, so he was out for like half the fall, and that kind of like delayed the amount of looks that they could get at with Milam at short or Milam at third. And I think they really like Milam's quickness, his athleticism, his ability to come in on the baseball, move to his left, move to his right, and I just think it just makes sense with his athleticism. He's just better fit at shortstop than he is at third base. Third base, you want the guy with the quick hands. At shortstop, you want the guy with the quick feet. If I had to really simplify it. So, and I know that Milam has the quick feet, and I'm not saying he doesn't have the quick hands. He can turn it at the bag really quickly at second base for those double plays. But you really want that guy who has the quickness and the range to play shortstop. And does Braswell have the quick hands to play third base? To scoop up those quick balls at the hot corner? We'll see. But you want to have shortstop filled. You want to feel confident in that position defensively. You want the middle of the field to be your strength defensively, and that's why having Milam at short probably is the best use of those resources.
Anything else that he got to? I'll let you go. I know you got writing to do here, but anything else that he said of note in the, I guess, what's going to be the final availability before they get things rolling on Friday?
Yeah, I mean, not a whole ton, but again, I will just reiterate that we talked a lot about his comfort in this year's team, and how he just feels like he's in a better spot in understanding what this team can and maybe even can't do. And I felt that was really interesting given how many returning pieces they had from the championship team. Not a lot of returning starters, obviously, but a lot of the younger guys. And he went into recruiting and talked a lot about how the recruits that they brought in this year was the first class where they were on equal footing with everybody else. They weren't trying to convince these guys to stick around or trying to flip these guys later in the process. With the exception of maybe Cooper Williams, once they were at LSU, these were the guys that they started recruiting for LSU. I think that was kind of an interesting way of sort of thinking about his comfort and understanding of the incoming freshmen that are coming in, because Brady Neal and Paxton Kling and Jared Jones, those guys are obviously very talented and they did a good job of holding on to those guys, but they weren't his recruits. They were Paul Maneri's recruits, right? So I think sort of phrasing it and sort of understanding this team and all the freshmen that they have and getting all these freshmen to campus in the first place, getting them through the draft, I thought that was pretty interesting and insightful.
We'll see you at the box on Friday, Koki. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me on. He's
Kade Riley, LSU beat reporter for The Advocate. If you want your LSU baseball news, he's got you covered there, and he'll be with us every single Wednesday at 1:15. It's What If Wednesday. That's next. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, avssla.com is the website. Make your place the place to watch the big game. Get that brand new television and get it hung properly. Get the surround sound wired into the ceilings. If you want to be real sophisticated, you can get voice automation in your home entertainment system, where you can walk into a room and say, watch a movie. The shades will come down, television will come on, surround sound will perk up, lights will dim. That's all things that they can do at Audio Video Security Solutions. You just got the plain old TV and you're kind of thinking, I could probably upgrade this, but I'm not really sure where to start. Audio Video Security Solutions is where you start. The customer service there after the installation is first class. It's a small business right here in Baton Rouge, and they are happy to help you anywhere in our listening area. Give Mitchell Fisher a call. Check him out online, avssla.com. That's Audio Video Security Solutions.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, Know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, we got Shay Dixon with a recruiting prediction machine update over at On 3 with an in-state prospect for LSU football. We'll get to that coming up to end hour number 1. Want to make sure we leave some time to that. So let's move right along. It is Wednesday. It's the bottom of the first hour. That means it's time for What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
All right, first one here. What if LSU waited 6 more years, 2015, to build the new box? What does it look like?
Oh man, that's hard for me to answer because I don't know exactly who was making those decisions and what went into it. I know just based on looking at the old box and looking at the new box, it was important to them to keep a lot of the aesthetics similar, which is why they put the bleachers, 3 of them in the outfield and left field. When they built the new box, they didn't put any bleachers in right field because there were no bleachers in right field at the old box. They had the Intimidator in the same spot. You had the outfield wall with the green with the signs that looked exactly the same. Like a lot of it was the same. They just put some amenities in it. I don't know if 6 years would have had them make the seating a little more comfortable down the lines and in the outfield. Like that, to me, is the biggest issue with the current box. It's not that they had to have a berm or a barbecue area or a picnic area or a more defined student section. All that is interesting at times, but I just think that they could have created some more comfortable seats than those really, really difficult to sit in Medjol bleachers, which in February and March are freezing cold, and then when it gets to regional time are just scorching hot. It's just not a very comfortable place to sit. I've done it many times. So that to me is my biggest issue, and I don't know that they would have fixed that 6 years later. I don't know.
All right, next one here. What if you could add one MLB player to LSU's roster this upcoming season, not including Ohtani? Because that's probably the obvious
I would like
answer.
to have Ohtani. That'd be good. If he threw 100 and hit a bunch of homers, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but I think it's Paul Skeens. And I don't think that's just me, like, saying that. I realize he didn't win the Cy Young last year, but I'm not taking Chris Sale. I feel like Chris Sale's getting a little bit older. He was phenomenal last year, but I feel like he's getting a little bit older. would probably have to take Skeens, because what are the odds Skeens this coming year is worse than he was last year when he started the All-Star game?
Yeah. How about
I know he's just here, but like, do you have a better answer than that?
Yeah. How about we have somebody to protect Bear Jones? Maybe Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge would be awesome. I would love to have him on the
probably
team.
hit about 70 home runs.
He would, but he hits 4 times a game, and they can walk him. Skeens
yeah, but that's the point of it is you have him and Jared Jones.
Skeens gets the ball in the first game of the weekend series and wins, and then he gets the ball in the regional and wins, then he gets the ball in the super regional and wins, then he gets the ball in Omaha and wins, and it's a good thing to have. That's the most important thing that you can have. We've seen teams do this without a surefire stud ace. We watched Tennessee do it, 8 months ago, whatever it was. I saw Mississippi State get to a national championship without a surefire ace. But I'd rather have one for sure. And so I'll take Paul Skeens, and I know that he was just here, and I know that he went to LSU, and I know that seems like a ridiculous answer to be a homer, but like, I don't have a surefire answer that I know is better than that.
Yeah, I'll probably go with.
He throws 100.
Either I don't think you can really go wrong either way. Next one. What if Christian Little didn't get hurt during the UNC regional? Does LSU advance?
They got a chance. Now, he would have had to pitch like he was pitching late, and that was different from what he had done for 2 years. But that's why I always rant and rave and scream that once they get to Friday, the SEC tournament, check out. Just get out of there. Because there's no reason to play those last 2 games. You're just running arms thin, and you can go home. You can get some rest. And they didn't, and Christian Little got hurt, and I hope it doesn't happen again. But, I don't have a lot of value in winning the SEC tournament. If you remember that segment we did yesterday with the SEC baseball coaches, they polled about conference tournaments. They all said they liked them on the record. Now, we've seen, John Calipari says, I don't care.
Well, it makes sense to me, though, why some of them would say that they do like them, because if you have if for instance you struggle in the regular season and the tournament can help you, it obviously it can hurt you, and if somebody gets injured, but there's always it always is. I think it would always be nice for a coach to have that in their back pocket to say, even if we struggle a bit in the conference play, and maybe we're on the bubble, those tournament.
If you're trying to play your way into the tournament, yes.
Yes.
But there's a very, very, very rare case where a Southeastern Conference team is playing on Friday or Saturday of that tournament and may not get in. It's
That's
just a
true.
rare case.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying skip the whole week or don't use any of your players. I'm just saying, you play on Wednesday, you play on Thursday, Friday comes around, see it. And now you don't even have to worry about the double elimination because everybody's getting in and it's single elimination starting on Tuesday. So you kind of play until you want to, and then you can bow out of that thing.
All right, next one here. We got some from the chat here. What if Red Baron gets the concessions for the box?
Do I have to pay for it? Because I'm out of the pay game now because I'm in the press box. I got free stuff. It's hot dogs and popcorn.
Yeah. No, I think the Red Barons are going to be like $1 a slice.
Well, I mean, if you're looking at the frozen pizzas, those are small slices.
Yeah, they are.
So, what would that make? I would like. I'm a big chicken tender basket Sunday guy. I appreciate a chicken tender basket on Sundays. We'll actually even go down there and pay for it. But pizza, Red Baron pizza, I would like that too.
All right, next one here. What if the NFL started selling virtual reality seats like in stadiums?
I don't even know what that would entail.
Okay, you know what virtual reality is? So it's like if you...
Are you talking about the bar that makes it look like you're sitting by the 50-yard line?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, that does nothing for me.
Yeah.
The appeal of the game is not the view for me. The view's actually worse. The appeal of the game is the energy, the juice that the stadium brings, and that's what I crave. That's why I disagree with the people, and this was cost independent, with the people that prefer to sit at home and watch the game with their ice chest next to them or with the fridge right there, with their own bathroom. They can cook their own meal, don't have to deal with the parking and all that kind of stuff. But then you don't get to be in the stadium with 100,000 people. You don't get to be in the Superdome, the Saints with 70,000 people. That's the best part of sports, and that's what I love. Let's wrap it here because we got to get to some LSU football talk.
Real quick, I think you're going to like this one. What if you could play Augusta National, but after that you could never play golf again your entire life?
We did that one.
I don't remember. I feel like I remember that, but I wasn't sure.
I can't do it because there's a chance that I could play it and
No. Okay, well, we'll have to make an addendum to that.
Or I can never play it.
Yes.
I'm probably going to have to keep playing golf. It's a difficult decision. It's
not easy.
It's a very difficult decision, but I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to say I'm never going to play it because the odds are I'm never going to play it, and then I can just keep playing. There are some other courses I can play. I can play St. Andrews, play Pebble again. TPC. Like, there are courses I can get to and I can play. I can go to Hawaii and play Kapalua, go to overseas and play Troon and Carnoustie and all that. Augusta's probably not going to happen. All right, let's step aside. When we come back, we'll talk some LSU football recruiting next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
In a previous life, we'd have been all over recruiting this week. You'd have been right after National Signing Day, perhaps some 5-star whose mom hid a fax somewhere, was holding out for another team, and you'd have been all in on recruiting at this point in the calendar. And really, there's not any recruiting going on for the class of 2025 right now. But the class of 2026 is very, very, very important to this LSU football program in state. And obviously Brian Kelly and his staff have made that a significant priority. Shea Dixon, our buddy at the Bengal Tiger over there with the On3 network, has put a new RPM, which is a recruiting prediction machine, prediction for 4-star Bryson Martinez. He's a 6'5", 290-pound offensive lineman out of East Ascension. He is ranked by On3 as a top 50 prospect, regardless of position, top 5 recruit in Louisiana, top 10 offensive tackle prospect nationally. And Shea put the prediction in for LSU with an 80% confidence score today. And that would be a really, really good ad for LSU, guy that's very much a local product. But if you start to look through this class of 2026 in the state of Louisiana, you feel like LSU is doing a really, really good job. Now, I'm well aware that 10 months out, a lot can change on the NIL front, okay? So I'm not trying to hide that, okay? I get how the process works. Unfortunately, I can't sit here in February and tell you what CEO or founder of a Fortune 500, Fortune 50 company is going to come in and start buying up recruits. So until that happens, I'm just going to react to what I know, not what could theoretically happen in NIL land. Okay, so let's take it from that perspective and talk about how LSU has handled this class. You look at the top 2 players in the state, that's Lamar Brown and Blaine Bradford, who are probably, as we sit here on a Wednesday, and there's no holiday, they're both seated in a classroom within 6 miles of me, okay? And it's probably closer than that. It's a lot closer than that. It's like 3 miles of me right now. Lamar Brown is at U High, and Blaine Bradford is at Catholic. Right now, the feeling is that LSU's done a really, really good job with both of those players inside the city of Baton Rouge. Bradford's brother is part of the previous class, and Lamar Brown is on campus. You're going to have to fight off Texas A&M and whoever else wants to come in here, and neither guy is committed, but you feel like LSU is in a good spot for them. Big Richard Anderson, huge defensive lineman prospect from Carr. He's committed. He's the number 3 player in the state. Aiden Hall is also from Carr. He's a safety prospect. He's committed to LSU. Bryson Martinez is the 5th-ranked player in the state of Louisiana by On3, and Shea feels like LSU has done a really, really good job trying to pull him in this class. Then you get to Jabari Mack, who is from Destrehan. LSU has a phenomenal track record of bringing in guys at Destrehan. He's a wide receiver commit. LSU and Mississippi State are the 2 schools that are listed there. But as far as the recruiting prediction machines are listed, 91% towards LSU. Kenny Darby from Airline up in Bossier, he says he's in. He's committed to LSU, doesn't want to take any visits anywhere else. Then you go over to Monroe, Dylan Berryman, 4-star defensive line prospect, 6'3", 275 pounds. LSU considered a heavy leader for him. Darius McKinney, he's from Acadiana over in Lafayette. LSU seen as a significant lead for him. And then Ja'Kai Anderson is a wide receiver from McDonough 35. He's the 10th-ranked prospect in the class. He's committed to LSU. So right now you've got commitments from 4 of the top 10, and the other 6 LSU feels really good about at this point. So that's massive. You remember, this is the class that everyone's been pointing to really for 2 years. And these crop up in Louisiana every half decade or so. Now, Jakeem Stewart was once a part of this class. Of course, he signed with Southern Cal back in the previous signing class. He reclassified, but you still look at this class and you're looking at some guys in the trenches, a couple wide receiver prospects, big-time safety, not running back, where LSU just signed 2 of the best in the country from the state of Louisiana, so it's not really a huge position of need for LSU. Kind of at some spots where you always want to stock the shelves. Louisiana's got them in this class, and LSU feels like they're doing a really good job to reel them in. You had the boys from the boot weekend back 2 weeks ago. You've got some camps, and well, you got the spring evaluation period, and then you've got camps that'll come in the summer, and you feel like a lot of kids at this point in the era of the December signing day, before they really start things in their senior year, they generally commit. Again, I'll throw the disclaimer out there. I know commitments are not binding. I know that anything can happen in the 11th hour in the NIL world, but I'm analyzing kind of what it looks like. And when you consider that all of this class in the top 10 in the state of Louisiana is either committed to LSU or the on-3 team has them recruiting prediction machined over 90% to go to LSU, like that's a pretty good spot to be in. And LSU's still going to be able to go out nationally, and they're still going to be able to spend some money in the transfer portal. That's obviously been a shift that this staff is comfortable with at this point. It starts in the state of Louisiana, and it certainly must include those outside the state of Louisiana, and especially in the transfer portal as older players come into the program that can help you immediately in what would be a spot of need. So right now, no breaking news at the moment, but Shea Dixon, as good as there is in the game over there at On3, says Bryson Martinez may be a guy that commits to LSU in the near future. If you're looking for more information on all of that, Shea's always got great write-ups back on their message board over there at On3 on the Bengal Tiger. Speaking of the Bengal Tiger, let's talk with Matthew Bruny about a little bit of hoops coming up at the top of hour number 2. And then in 20 minutes, I'm giving you my predicted lineup for LSU on Friday. We'll see how close or how far off I nail that. Step aside for Sports Center. Come back with us. It's a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac. Our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Travis Kelce is in no rush to make a decision on his future. The Chiefs tight end said as much on the latest New Heights podcast. In the week leading up to the Super Bowl, Kelce had repeatedly said he planned to play in 2025. He had a quiet game in the AFC Championship game win, as well as in the loss in Super Bowl 59. So before making his final call, Kelce plans on kicking every can he can down the road.
As you see yourself or not feel yourself have the success that you once used to have, man, it's a tough pill to swallow. And then on top of that, to not be there in the biggest moments, knowing your team's counting on you, man. It's just a tough reality. I'm going to take some time to figure it out. I think I owe it to my teammates that if I do come back, that it's going to be something that it's a wholehearted decision. I'm not half-assing it. I think I can play. It's just whether or not I'm motivated or it's the best decision for me.
Travis Kelce. ESPN's Pete Thamel reports Ohio State's finalizing a deal to hire former Lions coach and Patriots defensive coordinator Matt Patricia as its new DC. The NHL's Four Nations Face-Off, an international best-on-best ice hockey tournament, begins tonight with Canada and Sweden. U.S. plays its first game tomorrow versus Finland, 8 Eastern, ESPN.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Thursday as the NBA heads towards the All-Star break, I'll tell you how many teams are actually title contenders. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Half the work week in the rearview mirror, officially working towards the weekend. And fired up, you're hanging out with us on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. 15 minutes from right now, my projected lineup for LSU on opening day. I'll tell you how I think it looks out in the outfield. I'll tell you how I think it looks in the infield, behind the plate, and in the batting order. I'll give you all of that coming up in 15 minutes. Plus, what are the Saints going to do with Taysom Hill? We'll talk about that coming up. Look, I know one of the things that y'all like the most about this show is when I complain. That's one of everyone's favorite things. They love to hear whiny, complainy hosts. That's key to any radio show, to be quite frank. And so you're going to hear about right now. I've been a little upset at the vending machine situation in this building for about a month and a half. Not only
You're not the only one, huh?
Not only have the drinks not been cold, they've been actually like very hot. The vending machine has like warmed them up to the point that they're hot. And that has been rectified in some way, but I just went down and got one in the top of the hour break. It's frozen solid. We can't hit a medium here. We've got boiling Coke Zero and we got frozen Coke Zero. I would just like a chilled or even room temperature Coke Zero that I could then pour over ice. Is that too much to ask?
It's not. I do wonder, though. I've never heard of a vending machine being hot. Like, how does that work? It's not like it's...
Well, it's got to, like, work, and obviously the equipment's all hot. I don't know what's going on.
It's not like it's 90 degrees down there, and it's just hot because the cold isn't working. It's clearly has the ability to make drinks hot, too, which I don't understand.
Look, I'm not an expert in vending machine anatomy. I'm an expert in complaining, and I'm an expert in Coke Zero.
That you are.
So this is unacceptable, and I need the folks here, the Guarantee folks. They were in my good graces because of them sending us to the Super Bowl last week, which was great. And now we got a vending machine that's just not getting the job done.
Yeah, and that's
unacceptable.
It needs to be rectified.
Speaking of incredible radio guys, here's a segue. Think of things that are not working and are not acceptable. LSU basketball, not working, not acceptable at this point. So let's talk about it. Matthew Bruny from the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 team, good enough to give us a little bit of time. And he was on the line for all that complaining. So I apologize for that, Matthew, but sometimes some things have to be said.
I feel like I just entered the room of like an arguing couple.
Musso and Palmer going back and forth about the vending machine.
Well, here we are. It's just disappointing, but it is what it is, and LSU basketball disappointing as well. What do you think the toughest loss was? Getting annihilated by Texas by 31, or the disaster that we saw back on Saturday?
Yeah, I wrote about it after the game. Obviously, the beatdown from Texas is the worst loss, like just in a vacuum. But I think the Ole Miss loss was really the first time people were taken aback, I guess, by that kind of collapse, like that singular moment to be like, oh, this is why I'm upset. This is a moment that can't happen and that is unacceptable and that, heads need to roll and so on and so forth. So the worst loss is Texas. I mean, a 31-point loss at home is unacceptable. But then to lead by 11 with 3 minutes left and to have it just all crumble down, that felt like the moment. Like if you had to point to one moment of people's frustration, that's what it was.
Did you sense a different Cam Carter in the postgame than you have, generally speaking?
I think so. I think, now that you mention it, it's fair question, because in that moment I'm just kind of writing and thinking about what to ask. But now that you do mention it, it is interesting. Cam was kind of like, damn, this is rock bottom. Like that's what it felt like from him. This is he came back home. I mean, he's from right down the road, Donaldsonville, and I wanted to put on for his city and for his state. And this loss, I think, really sapped a lot of the hope and a lot of the optimism from him, from the fans, from the team. And because I think, we were there even for losses throughout the season. It's like, okay, it's cool. We go around and you fist bump and it's like, all right, we move on. But this one just felt like a real dagger.
They beat Arkansas previously. LSU's playing differently and Arkansas is playing a lot differently. Is anything that we saw back in that January game applicable to tonight's game?
I think so. I mean, from a technical standpoint, I think LSU's defense is still going to have the chance to bother Arkansas. I think you look at Arkansas's performances and their wins. Kentucky's been the worst team in the conference defensively. They scored 89 on them. Texas has not lived up defensively to where I thought they'd be. They scored 78 on them. So I think, the hope for LSU here on the road against a team you've already beat is that the defense travels and that you're able to hold them down into the mid-60s, because as we know, this LSU team is not capable of, comfortably scoring in the 70s in any game here. So it's going to have to be an ugly one. It's going to have to, be their experience and try to build back up what they lost in the last game.
The Arkansas team that came to the PMAC relied heavily on Boogie Fland, who's out for the year, and Zvonimir Ivisic, which we'll just go with Big Z for the rest of this conversation, was not really a factor at that point. He played 6 minutes in that game. He was huge in the game against Alabama back over the weekend. How much difference is this Arkansas team than we saw in January?
Yeah, you mentioned Big Z as one factor. I mean, John L. Davis is another one. The past 4 games, put up 18, 18, 24, and 13, transfer from FAU. I think it was the number 3 transfer in the country. Again, we knew this Arkansas team had talent. So with Fland being out, John L. Davis has stepped up in a big way there. They still have plenty of talent. DJ Wagner, Davis, they've been playing Billy Richmond a little bit more, the freshman. And so it's never a talent thing with Coach Cal, and I think that they're starting to figure out how to piece it together a little bit. So I definitely think this is a tougher challenge now than what LSU had a few weeks ago.
All right, let's talk a little bit more big picture. Where are we with this team, with this season, and with what needs to happen over the next few months?
Yeah, so this team, obviously, you hope just to get a couple more wins out of this. I labeled this 6-game stretch as being the real heart of the season. They're 0-3 in that stretch: Texas, Georgia, and Ole Miss. They have Arkansas, Oklahoma, and South Carolina the next 3 games. Ideally, you win 2 of them. We'll see if that happens. But regardless, the difference between going 3-15 in conference or going 2-16 is negligible at best. So then you look ahead and, you do acknowledge the fact that this team played a lot of young guys, right? I mean, from the three freshmen to Corey Chest, Mike Williams, and so on. There's a lot of youth here. And I think the first thing for Matt McMahon is figuring out who he wants to return and who wants to return. You hope Victorious Miller comes back. You hope Jalen Reed, off an injury, comes back. Corey Chest, you assume, Louisiana guy, but, you got to make sure that happens. So you want to retain some young talent, but then it just turns to the portal. And I think my biggest criticism of Matt McMahon is his misses in the portal in his 3 years. I think this year I like Jordan Sears. I don't think he's a starting point guard. I think he's a bench player in the SEC. Jai Bailey, I think ideally he was supposed to be a bench, rotation player, but then Tyrell Ward leaves and he has to start. So I think the portal is just going to be so important. And I think LSU having the funds to be aggressive in the portal, kind of like we saw in football, obviously on a lower scale, is extremely important.
We saw the football program bang the drum and go, we have to have money and we have to go get portal players. And it was a shift from how they felt months previous to that. Is there a similar shift coming with basketball where Matt McMahon understands that the way that he did things this year is not going to be good enough and you're going to have to change the approach?
Yeah, I actually think that I kind of wish that they didn't get 3 signees in this class. And I know that's retrospect and everything. I kind of just want them to go as old as possible and just kind of go all in next year on being competitive, because at this point I think the concept is proven. I think Curtis Givens and Victorious Miller and Robert Miller are going to be good players in their careers, but they're freshmen and they're going up, against these 22, 23, heck, Auburn has 25-year-olds out there. It's just not a fair fight. So I think you have to get significantly older this year. It took Brian Kelly getting to the podium and, like you said, banging the drum and saying we need more money and we'll do whatever it takes to get there. And that's football.
Yeah.
And now it's men's basketball is in a similar situation here, and I think they're starting in an even worse position, obviously, than where football was, just in comparison to the rest of the conference. So I do think that's critical. I think McMahon's going to have to really, really start pushing as soon as the season ends, if not before that, and see where it goes.
Well, by the time we talk next week, it'll be late February. It may be time to start really analyzing where the women sit in the pecking order of the national scale and what they've got to do to put a run together in March. So we'll talk next week either way. Thanks, Matthew.
Yeah, thanks, Hunt.
Matthew Bruny, part of the Bengal Tiger team over there on 3, does an awesome job with the team coverage from basketball perspective as well as football. They got coverage of football recruiting, as like I mentioned at the end of the last segment as well. So great resource over there at the Bengal Tiger. And appreciate Matthew for giving us a little bit of time. LSU and Arkansas tonight, 8 o'clock tip from Bud Walton. I'll have a post-game story up at LouisianaSports.net. I got a pregame story up at LouisianaSports.net. What I also have at LouisianaSports.net is the announcement of LSU's starting pitching rotation for this week. If you missed it, that is on Friday, Cade Anderson. On Saturday, Anthony Ianson. And on Sunday, Chase Shores. We know that. We don't know what LSU's opening day lineup is going to look like. 1, I'm going to give you my thoughts on that in the next segment. And 2, I'm going to go over some of my favorite opening day lineup features that you may have forgotten about that are humorous in my eye and that we want to talk about and realize that what you see in weekend number 1 doesn't exactly mean what you're going to see when June rolls around. So we'll do all that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Look, I know that insurance is not a ton of fun to talk about, and I tell you that every single day because I know it. I lived it for 7 years, but I also saw it save businesses. I know how important it can be. Now, you hope that you're never in that position, but the point of insurance is when that position shows up, you're covered. Your policy is placed with the right market, and you've got the right claims handling team working on your behalf to make sure that you're made whole and you can continue operating. If you're a business owner, you should spend more time worrying about your business than you should the insurance part of it. And that's why you got to trust your insurance broker to make sure everything is on the up and up. And the Highland Insurance Group will do that for you. Jonathan Carbo and his team are experts, and they make sure that you're put in the right position so that when that car accident or that lawsuit happens, when that hurricane rolls through or that fire happens in the kitchen, that you're covered and you're taken care of. And you can continue to operate while the insurance side does what it's supposed to do. Contact them at HighlandIG.com and start that process today. To audit that policy doesn't cost a thing. They may find something that could save your business. It's the Highland Insurance Group. You can find them online at highlandig.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, as you're all well aware, LSU baseball will crank things up 2025 style on Friday, right now at 2 o'clock. Jay Johnson was on with the guys in the morning and said, look, I'm not 100% sure what the weather says. Usually our grounds crew will come see me midweek if there needs to be some sort of discussion. So maybe there were some discussions today, but no announcement has been made about a game time shift. I think more of the concern is on Saturday. Looks like they got a pretty day on Sunday if they want to handle it then. So we'll see what LSU decides to do. But right now on schedule for a 2 o'clock Friday first pitch, we will be out there on site in Championship Plaza from noon to 2 for the Hunt Palmer Show leading up to first pitch. So really, really excited about Friday to get out there. And I want to give you my thoughts on what the lineup might be. But before I do that, let's be very clear. The opening day lineup often shifts pretty significantly as the season goes on. I know we all hit the same talking points over the course of the 5 weeks entering the season. I know there's more access to information than ever with scrimmage reports, and you've got the TrackMan velocities that everyone can see from the LSU Twitter feed. And there was a time where Skip could conduct practice in January and nobody knew what happened, and you just kind of had to wait till the season started. Now, we've got a lot of information. Everybody's kind of on the same page as what this is going to look like. But let me just cite some examples here of some opening day and first weekend lineups that may be surprising to you. And I know that y'all can't recall every lineup by every year. What was opening day? What was the opening day 2014 lineup supposed to look like? Well, that was 11 years ago. I'm not expecting you to know that. So I'll help y'all through this exercise a little bit, but I think the point will remain at home. My famous one ever is in 2009, Chad Jones was the opening night DH. Y'all have heard me say that one a bunch of times. I think it's hilarious. He left the team to go to spring football. He came back, dreadlocks of doom. He's pitching out of the bullpen. Like, he was the opening night DH. Didn't hit at all throughout the rest of the season. But, of course, that night you did not have Mikey Matuk nor Austin Nola in the lineup. Y'all know those stories as well, but Nola got the biggest hit of the regional to win the Saturday game against Baylor, and then Matuk became a star and was running down balls in the outfield and got the hit to win Game 1 of the championship series. And they were freshmen, and they were nowhere to be seen on opening night. That's the kind of thing that happens all the time. I'll move you forward to 2017. That's the team that got to the national final against Florida and lost. That team had Michael Papierski. It had Jake Slaughter and Cole Freeman and Kramer Robertson. You had Greg Dykman, and you had that team that made a run to the championship series. And you look at that team on opening night, and you had Bryce Adams at DH. Bryce Adams. I'm betting most of y'all that are listening to this have never heard of Bryce Adams or forgot that you had heard of Bryce Adams. That's a guy who finished the year 5 of 21 for the season at the plate. He was a big, strong kid, and thought there was some power in that bat, but he lost his job to Bo Jordan, who became the starting DH for LSU for much of the year. And you had Duplantis on that team and Zach Watson. Josh Smith was on that team. So Bryce Adams was the opening night DH, and you didn't really hear from him the rest of the season. But there are more that come to mind. 2023, y'all know that team pretty well. I'll tell you a few nuggets from that team starting lineup. Ben DePault started the opening game at second base for that national championship team. Ben DePault. Paxton Kling was the leadoff hitter for that team. He became a reserve center fielder. He hit leadoff on opening day. Gavin Dugas, not in the lineup. Caden Beloso, not in the lineup. Braden Jobert, not in the lineup. Think of the role those guys played over the course of the season. I mean, I just rattled off like 5 big deals from a team that brought back a ton of proven guys. Like Trey Morgan was going to play. Dylan Cruz was going to play. Jordan Thompson was going to play. You were going to see Tommy White at third base. Like, there were some guys that were never going to move that we knew. And we still had 5 massive deals with that team. Let's go to 2022. This is actually Jay Johnson's first team. Do you recall who the opening day starter at pitcher was for his first team? A lot of you probably do, but I'm going to say this name, and a bunch of you are probably going to go, oh, I forgot. Jay Johnson's opening night, Friday night starter was Blake Money. Blake Money. The second baseman in that game, Will Safford on his first team. Will Safford. Like, things changed pretty quickly. You remember the 2023 national championship team, to jump back to that team, who was in the starting rotation. I'm not even talking about the lineup, the rotation. Skeens pitched on Friday, but Riley Cooper pitched on Saturday, and Chase Shores pitched on Sunday. Ty Floyd was nowhere to be seen. He was in the bullpen. Like last year, Josh Pearson was the opening day second baseman last year. Stephen Milam was not in there. Do you recall who the Sunday starter was last year? Like, yeah, you started Thatcher Hurd in the opener, the opening day starter, and that was not stunning. He was a savior in Omaha and had the pedigree, and you thought he'd be a dude, and he pitched in game 1, and Luke Holman was your Saturday starter, and he ended up moving up to the front of that. Javen Coleman was the Sunday starter last year on Sunday. Like, you see how drastically things change? So we're talking about a team right now, and the group that we're talking about is going to shift a ton over the course of 4 months. And that is the fun part of baseball season. I love it. You push this button here. This guy shows some good stuff out of the bullpen. Maybe he can start in the midweek. He can stretch him out, and maybe he can go into the back end of the bullpen. Well, now this guy may need to move positions because defensively things aren't working out, and things just change a lot over the course of a 4-month baseball season, and I love that. So with the understanding that it won't finish like this. Here's how I think things start on Friday. This is my guess. Let's go around the horn with the guys that you know will be in the lineup we feel like, because that's who's been out there for the better part of a week and a half in scrimmages. At catcher, Luis Hernandez, I'm confident is going to be your starter. Wouldn't be stunned if it was Blaise Priester or if it was Kade Riley, but I'm 95% confident Luis Hernandez is going to be the starting catcher. Then you go to first base, and Jared Jones is going to be there, of course. You go to second base, Daniel Dickinson is going to be there, of course. Jay Johnson yesterday announced on Mike Scarborough's podcast that Stephen Milam will play short, and Michael Braswell will play third. You go to left field, Derek Curiel is going to be in left, Chris Stanfield is going to be in center, Jake Brown is going to be in right, and we don't know who the DH is going to be. My guess is Josh Pearson. I don't know one single thing about the Purdue-Fort Wayne pitching staff. I don't know if they've got 3 left-handed starters that are coming at you, and then maybe you throw Ethan Fry in there. I don't know. This has nothing to do with Purdue-Fort Wayne. I can't name one player who's ever played baseball for Purdue-Fort Wayne. Not one. But I'm going to go with Josh Pearson as the starter, independent of anything Purdue-Fort Wayne does at DH. So here's how I think the lineup shakes out, and I'll give you a little bit of my reasoning why. I've got Chris Stanfield in the leadoff spot. That's probably not what I would do, but we've seen it in the scrimmages, so I'm going to lean on that for the moment. Stanfield did a good job hitting an SEC play. Certainly won't be overmatched by Purdue-Fort Wayne as a guy who's been in the SEC for 3 years. So I think that Chris Stanfield is going to be the leadoff guy because that's what we've seen in the scrimmages. Then I feel okay about the next chunk here. Milam in the 2-hole, Jones in the 3-hole, Brown in the 4-hole. I'm a little apprehensive about Brown in the 4-hole right now. I love the potential, but it's just that right now. And we know how vital hitting behind Jones is. I love Milam in front of Jones. I love the fact that Stanfield is right-handed. Milam can hit left-handed against right-handed pitching. Then Jones is right-handed and Brown is left-handed. I think at the top of the order, having that left-right is a good thing. Brown, I think, gets the first shot to protect Jared Jones. We'll see how long that lasts because you're going to have somebody back there that's hot. And the spot behind Jones may just be the guy that really swung it well the last 2 games because it's important that there's a little bit of fear in the opposing dugout when the guy opposite Jones, behind Jones, is in the on deck. So there's got to be a little bit. And Brown gives a little bit of that in theory, but I haven't seen it. So that's Stanfield, Milam, Jones, Brown, 1 through 4. Then I've got Daniel Dickinson in the 5 spot. He has not swung the bat awesome in the fall or the preseason. He did have a home run over the weekend, and we know that the talent is there. Wouldn't shock me if he was down in the 8 or 9 hole, but I think that against this level of competition that LSU is going to see for the first 2 weeks of the season with Purdue-Fort Wayne, with the midweek game, and with Omaha, with that level of competition, Dickinson has essentially proven in his years at Utah Valley he can handle this. So getting him off to a good start, putting him in the middle of all that, there's a good chance guys are on base. If he hits right there with Milam, Jones, and Brown right there in front of him, maybe that gives him an opportunity to drive in some runs, get some confidence. I like Daniel Dickinson in the 5-hole, plus Brown in the 4-hole is left-handed. Dickinson in the 5-hole is right-handed. I can't drop Derek Curiel any lower. If he hits first or second, I won't be surprised at all. The staff thinks this kid is going to be a star. I think most of the folks who cover this team think he's going to be a star. I'm not dropping him down to the 8 or 9 spot. He's ready to hit. I've got him in the 6-hole here, right behind Daniel Dickinson, right behind Curiel. I've got Luis Hernandez. I feel confident Hernandez is going to hit 7 or 8 in the lineup. That seems to be the prevailing thought from inside the program. So I think Hernandez is going to hit 7th or 8th. I've got him 7th here. Then I've got Braswell. I'm doubling up on right-handed bats there. I've got Braswell hitting in the 8-hole at third base. And I've got Pearson in the 9-hole. I put Pearson in the 9-hole because he's left-handed in front of Stanfield is right-handed, and he runs better. I don't know that I want to put Braswell and Hernandez right in front of Stanfield and Milam. I'd rather a little bit of a buffer there with some speed, getting on base for the guys who Stanfield, Milam, Jones are going to be your run producers. So I don't necessarily want one of my slower guys, and neither Hernandez nor Braswell runs great. So 1, 2, 3, Stanfield, Milam, Jones. 4, 5, 6, Brown, Dickinson, Curiel. 7, 8, 9, Hernandez, Braswell, Pearson. That's where I am for this LSU offensive lineup. I'm looking at the Bayou Ford chat here. Don't see any massive massive disagreements. Where is Pierce? Pearson, I think he's where he's going there. Got Pearson in the 9-hole there is where I got him. So, Beck, do you have any massive qualms with the lineup that I have laid out here?
No, I don't think so. But it will be interesting, as you've noted, it'll be interesting to see how this lineup evolves, because I'm sure it will, especially when you get into conference play, and some of the younger guys are going to be getting phased out in terms of getting at bats. So interesting to see how it evolves over the season.
I think there's a good chance that I've put that lineup out there that Kade Riley, Tanner Reeves, and Ashton Larson all start at least one game this weekend.
Yeah.
That doesn't guarantee that start is in the field. They could be at DH. But I think Aaron Beatty will probably catch a game. I think Reeves will probably play third base in a game. If you've got a right-handed pitcher that starts, and Braswell may go to the bench, and you can get Reeves a couple of at-bats maybe on Sunday. It's something we see often. And Jay Johnson likes to say it's a 56-game playoff, and he's only going to do things that he wants to win the game that day. I appreciate that sentiment, and I do believe that he was the first team left out of the tournament one year, and so he thinks any loss could hurt. And last year you could argue that LSU, it was one SEC game from being left out of the tournament. I don't think that's true, because I think they went on that run in Hoover, and their RPI moved up, and you all of a sudden became a 2 seed. So I don't think that's true, but you could argue that it was close. I still think that there is a degree of let's get some guys that have bats, and that doesn't immediately mean how do we win the game. Now, once you get in the game, yes, you're trying to win it, but I think that they're going to try to get some guys with bats. So I think Aaron Beatty, Reeves, and Larson are guys that will be out there at some point of the weekend. Hopefully you get some garbage time and you can get guys some stress-free at bats. But that's the way I've got LSU shaking out coming up on Friday. We'll see how it goes, and we'll grade it coming up during Friday's show. Let's take a time out. Come back. Saints talk next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fighting off a sneeze here. We'll see if we can get through the live read. One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. You know how you feel about your car, where there comes to be a certain point where instead of paying to fix it and paying to fix it and paying to fix it, you just need a new one? That's the case in the bathroom as well. Like, there may be some fiberglass that's just beyond repair. There may be a leak that's causing significant damage where you just need to put new plumbing in. You don't need to just trust some dude you found off of Craigslist that can come in and find a way to fix the toilet. Get our One Bath and Closets to come in with their master certified plumber who's licensed, bonded, and insured to get the job done. That's what you need to get done. And One Bath and Closets is happy to help with that. So go to onebathandclosets.com and start that process with a free consultation today. Bathrooms, closets, all customized to your specifications. David Vaughn and his team are happy to do it. It's One Bath and Closets. Check them out online, onebathandclosets.com.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages, and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Join Hunt Palmer live from the box as we celebrate opening day for LSU baseball. Come out, watch a special edition of the Hunt Palmer Show from noon to 2 inside Fan Fest presented by Powerade as the Tigers prepare to open the 2025 season against Purdue Fort Wayne. It's opening day at the box with 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, let's talk a little bit of Saints here. Kellen Moore is going to meet with the media tomorrow at 1:30, so there'll be some great quotes coming out on that. And then I would imagine he'll be pretty quick to the road to get some staff members put into place, get this train leaving the station. But part of this is now looking at the current roster and determining how you want to operate this thing in the short term. And some of those decisions may have some sentimental impact on Saints fans. And some of them will be Saints decisions and some of them will be player decisions. But one of them is going to come from Taysom Hill. And Taysom Hill, one, got to the NFL very quote-unquote late, because when you go on your mission, you play at BYU, you get into the league into your mid to late 20s, unlike a lot of folks that show up in the league at 21, 22. So while Taysom Hill hasn't been around for as long as some folks at that point, you're talking about a guy who's now climbing into his mid-30s. And the question is, does he want to rehab from this ACL, which he suffered late in the season, and you'd have to come back probably mid-season for a team that doesn't have phenomenal prospects on next season, and go put your body through that again? And like, Taysom Hill can only play one way. Taysom Hill can only play as a battering ram who's physical and seeks out contact and is a guy that blocks at the end of the line of scrimmage and takes hits in the running game. And like, he's only got one gear, and we've seen it, and it's been an awesome gear for New Orleans. But what do you do with Taysom Hill? And the question is, does he want to play? If not, your decision is made for you, because you just put him on the veteran minimum and facilitate that retirement like you did with Ryan Ramczyk. If he does want to play, you've got to determine what you want to do. And the Saints can get $10 million in relief in 2025 if you release Taysom Hill and move on. The dead cap hit would be about $8 million for this year, and then in 2026, about $9.5 million, which sounds awful, but every team's carrying some dead money, and the Saints are going to enter a spot here where there's going to be some dead money attached to what they're doing with some of these aging players on the roster. But in my estimation, without the sentimental attachment that a lot of Saints fans have to Taysom Hill for great reason, I don't think Taysom Hill is going to be on the next good Saints team. I don't think he's got a role on the next good Saints team, because I don't think he's going to play much this year. I don't think the Saints are going to be very good this coming year, and I don't see him having a big role on a 2026 team with his current age. I mean, you're talking about a guy who is, he's 34, and you're talking about a guy at 36 playing that style of football. I just don't see it. I mean, am I crazy? I just don't see it. So to me, while it's unpleasant, part of this has got to be unpleasant. And you're looking at guys like Taysom Hill, like Ryan Ramczyk, like Cam Jordan, like Tyrann Mathieu, eventually Alvin Kamara, that you're going to look at and see, like, how do we want to handle this money? You've made your decision with Kamara, and Tyrann says he wants to play 2 more years, and we'll see. But Ramczyk's made that decision for you. DeMario hasn't slowed down just yet. So I'm thinking at this point, when I look at these aging Saints, the only one that I'm looking at going, okay, this may be a separation point, if you're not including Derek Carr, who is 33, but is not really, there's not much sentimental there. There's a lot of sentimental value in all the rest of those guys. I think it's time to move on from Taysom Hill. And this is coming from a guy that said don't pay Kamara and don't extend him. And it's coming out of that same mouth, but I'm doing it because I think that you've got to start this process and start to free up a little bit of money and start to see if you can't take some chances on some younger players that are cheaper. And Taysom Hill is old and expensive and hurt. So that's 3 strikes. And then when you add that to where the state of the roster is right now, it just doesn't fit. This isn't a fit. You love Taysom Hill. You got the jerseys. You love the effort. You love the tenacity. You love the teammate. You love the investment that he's made in the city and in being a Saint, the roles he's taken on, whether it's been starting quarterback in Breeze's stead as an injury, whether it's been tight end, whether it's been punt protector, like whatever, he's just done it. And I love that, and Saints fans love that. But the time for trying to hold on to all that is gone. And I'm going to play this parallel that very few of you will understand initially, but I'm hopeful that it gets the message across. Like, I was emotional when the Cubs moved on from the core that won them a World Series. When they traded Anthony Rizzo and traded Chris Bryant and traded Javi Baez and let John Lester walk and let Wilson Contreras walk and all these guys that meant so much to the greatest run in the history of the organization, it was painful for me as someone who invested emotionally in that team. But those guys failed elsewhere with massive contracts. And the Cubs got out from under it, and they got younger, and they got cheaper, and they got one of the best farm systems in baseball, and they were able to go out and spend some money on Dansby Swanson and spend some money on Seiya Suzuki. And y'all may not even know who those 2 players are. But the point is, there's a part of you as a fan that hates to see guys that you have invested so many hours and so much emotion with, see them move on. But ultimately, it can be the right thing. And there's no guarantee that the Saints are going to take these savings and reallocate them into the draft and into free agency and hit and immediately get back to the top of the division. The Cubs have not even played in a playoff game since they did all that. Now, they're over a 70% chance to win the division this year, but there's no guarantee that it works, and it sucks in the moment. But that's the part of this that the Saints have to start with now, because there was the optimism of, let's get the new coach. And that optimism was invested into the search. Well, the search is over. And now the work begins. And the work is cleaning up the current roster and pumping it with new young talent. And I think one of the decisions that has to be made, whether it's Taysom making it or the Saints, is with Taysom Hill. And with his injury situation and his cap number and some savings that you can create this year, and maybe what that'll allow you to do with some extra cash or just to get under the salary cap, for crying out loud, I'm good with it. And so I think that's a tough thing to swallow for Saints fans, but that's part of what this process is going to look like over the next 5 months and then over the next 15 months when you go through this next season, go through another draft, another free agent cycle, and some of those other guys that I had listed start to come off the books slowly but surely. We'll see what the Saints decide to do with Taysom Hill. If you're looking for Saints coverage, You can check us out at Hunt on Saints, wherever you find your podcast, and, of course, LouisianaSports.net. Ross Jackson will have a chair at Kellen Moore's introductory press conference tomorrow, and he will certainly be writing about it over at LouisianaSports.net. We'll be talking about it on tomorrow's edition of The Hunt Palmer Show. Speaking of that, let's close it out coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is the website. Every car that is on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Every single vehicle in the line, from the entry level all the way up to the highest end model, has got the same safety features. You're talking about an IIHA Safety Award Plus models and Safety Award models. Every single vehicle, all of them. They don't skimp on safety at Genesis. And then when you get behind the wheel, you understand how comfortable, how stylish, all the bells and whistles. Their fantastic group over there at Genesis of Baton Rouge is happy to help you with your purchasing process, whether that's remote and you do it online and you do your test drive from home or the office, and then you do a digital delivery in your e-contracts, or you stop by Airline and Piku and do your shopping right there on site. They're pretty new. You may not have heard of them. You may not have seen the dealership. Go on by and see them. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge, and they're online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages, and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
.104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge is your home for the New Orleans Pelicans. Tune in tonight as they take on the Sacramento Kings at 7 p.m., and then they'll play them again, a little back-to-back action tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pelicans coverage is brought to you locally by Industry Makes, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Citizens Bank and Trust want to help cover your car payments. It's a $5,000 grand prize with a bonus chance to win free car washes from Benny's Car Wash for 6 months. We're also letting you earn extra entries by subscribing to our LouisianaSports.net daily newsletter. To sign up, visit 1045ESPN.com.
So LSU Baseball just put out a tweet. It's on LSU Baseball letterhead. It says, to whom it may concern, please excuse blank from work, school, general activities on Friday, February 14th for our 2 o'clock game against Purdue Fort Wayne. They are required to be at Alec Box Stadium, Skip Berkman Field. Don't forget to join us for opening day Fan Fest from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. This day should really be a holiday, but until that happens, we apologize for the inconvenience. Go Tigers. It's signed by Jay Johnson. Do we feel like Jay wrote that one?
No.
We don't? I think he's more concerned with the lineup card, maybe figuring out some bullpen
Probably
moves to
so.
make, not typing up memos to supposed bosses.
Well, I really am really shocked that he would reveal the starting rotation for this weekend when there's such a strategic advantage he would gain from not giving away the starting lineup against a really tall task of playing against the feared Purdue Fort Wayne team.
Do you know what their mascot is?
The Mastodons.
Yes,
we talked. Right. We said it yesterday. You don't remember? Because I said you asked me and I didn't know.
That's right.
And then you said the Mastodons. And
well,
it's like an elephant. Is the?
It is with tusks.
Yes.
Sweet. Let's play Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it.
All right, a couple of Super Bowl media take it or leave it's here, but of course they have nothing to do with football.
Sweet.
Patrick Mahomes said at Super Bowl Media Day that he'll forever play golf as a 7 handicap because, quote, I don't put my good scores in. Take it or leave it.
Oh. Well, they're not going to let him at Pebble Beach if that's the case.
No.
They're not going to let him play in that thing. There's like prize money on hand, I think.
So you're going to leave it?
Yeah, I'm going to leave that.
Leave it
I mean,
alone.
you can't be not putting your good scores in and
No.
then
That's
screwing
called
up your
sandbagging.
handicap. That is. So Mahomes, he's out on money games for sure.
Yeah, next one here. Saquon Barkley said if he doesn't break 80 this season, referring to golf, he will be giving it up. You versus Saquon for one paycheck. You win his or he wins yours. I don't understand the dynamic here. I mean, why would you not do that?
Well, of course I'm going to do that.
Yes.
Because, I don't want to lose a paycheck.
I'll take it.
Like, if I missed one paycheck, we would still figure it out. But if I got one of his paychecks,
here's the real.
That would be a good thing.
To make it actually interesting, it should be that you either win his salary for a year or you lose your salary for a year.
Oh, man.
That would be the tough one.
That would be bad. There'd be a lot of rice being eaten at the Palmer house,
Yeah.
a lot of water being consumed. I'm not going to play that one.
I didn't
We're
think
not
so.
going to give up the salary for 12 months, but I would like to play for one of his game checks.
That would be
What's
nice.
his salary? Do we know? I'm going to have to look that
Yeah,
up.
I'm not sure exactly, but he is one of the higher paid running backs, I believe.
I mean, I'm sure he is. We got another one. I'm going to look up his I'm going to see if I can come up with a reasonable.
Next one. Reports are circulating that former Patriots defensive coordinator and Lions head coach Matt Patricia will be the next defensive coordinator at Ohio State. Take it or leave it.
The celebrity program. You got Chip Kelly there. And
Yeah.
Bales, and you got
Urban Meyer a few years ago.
Yeah, so, I'll take it. Whatever. I'm sure he's a pretty good defensive coordinator. He's always got the pencil behind his ear.
Yeah.
Didn't work out as a head coach. But, yeah, I think that's probably a pretty good hire. Did you know that Matt Patricia's, really short?
I didn't know
I
that.
didn't know that.
I've always known he's pretty rotund, but I didn't know he was that short.
But apparently he's very, very short.
Okay,
So,
interesting.
Is this right on Saquon? This looks like a fairly smaller salary than I would have thought. It looks like his total earnings. Okay, a lot of signing bonus. Okay, it makes a little bit more sense now. But it was 3 years, $37 million.
Yeah, it's the signing bonus.
Yeah, and the signing bonus jumped on top. So, but if it's just 3 years, $37 million, you're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 11 million, 12 million, 11.5 million a year. So do that times 65% of those or so. I can't do it fast enough. Doesn't matter. I would take one of his game checks.
We got one more here. I just saw this. I don't know if you saw this a couple hours ago. The MLB actually tweeted this out. The Netflix is going to be as they've done already with a few different sports, they're now getting into the MLB.
Okay.
They will have a series called The Clubhouse, A Year with the Red Sox, which will be premiering in April. So
Can they retroactively do the 2004 Red Sox? I'd rather watch that.
That would be interesting. I don't know this one's going to be as interesting. But
I don't know. I'm going to take it. Yeah, I mean, it's content. I probably won't watch it, but I would, if it was on, I might pay attention to a little bit of it. As is the case with all these shows, the question really becomes like, how much access do we have and what are we allowed to see? It appears that maybe the greatest access in NFL history was given to this Giants offseason thing where they very plainly threw up all over themselves, let Saquon walk out the door, had the 8-year-old say that they should draft Jaden Daniels, and then they couldn't do that based on where their pick was. It was a horrible PR thing for the Giants, but I think it was quality entertainment for everybody that was out there watching it. So the question is, like, how much are we going to get to see of the Red Sox? Because when you think about how long a Major League season is, how much those guys are together between the flights at the ballpark all day long, late nights, like, there's interesting stuff. Guys are going on rehab assignments to AAA ballparks, all that kind of stuff. Like, there are compelling storylines, but can they get access to them? Really becomes the question. I'm interested to an extent. We'll see. I may not watch it, but that's all right. That's it for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Wherever you find your sound, you can always find us. I appreciate our guests for jumping aboard today. Had Kade Riley talking some baseball. Had Matthew Bruny talking a little bit of hoops. It was a What If Wednesday. I did my LSU baseball starting lineup. You can go catch all that wherever you find your sound. Matt's coming up from Houston for AFR. He'll drive you home there. I'm back tomorrow, same time, same place. The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.